And hello, guys. Welcome back to the channel. John here. Erin Cummings is here. We are, of course, in San Diego right now. San Diego.
Wrong convention, John. We are in Las Vegas and clearly not getting enough sleep. It is day 2 of CinemaCon in Las Vegas. I am your host, Erin Cummings. With me is my trusty sidekick.
Sleep deprived. Sleep deprived. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night, as you're going to tell. Yeah, we're here at CinemaCon in Las Vegas. Of course, last night everything kicked off with a bang as we had Sony's presentation, which was great. We got the Spider-Man trailer, and then they surprised us all when Ivan Reitman and Jason Reitman came out on stage to talk about Ghostbusters, which wasn't a surprise. But then they said, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to show you the movie right now. And then they showed us the entire movie. Crazy way to start. So today is two big things. A little bit later tonight, we got the Warner Brothers presentation. Batman, Flash, Black Adam, a whole bunch of other things. Will they get booed by this audience? Possibly, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But this morning's presentation was MGM. I believe they said it was the first MGM presentation they've ever done at CinemaCon.
Oh, really?
I think they said that. But if it was a hell of a presentation. They showed us a number of movies. A couple things first, though. Before MGM came on stage, and we're going to mostly talk about the MGM presentation, the movie stuff that they showed us, the clips, the movies they talked about, plus 9 minutes, a 9-minute scene of James Bond, No Time to Die, that we are all just freaking out over. Like, just completely freaking out over. We'll talk about that in just a second. By the way, if you have a comment or question you want to send in for these special videos, you don't use the tip link below. You just use the YouTube Super Chat feature. So go ahead and use that and send something in if you want to. Okay. So before MGM came out, we had the head of the MPA, the Motion Picture Association. We had John Fithian, who is the head of NATO. NATO's the organization that puts on CinemaCon.
Is it North American Theater Owners or Theater Organization?
National Association of Theater Owners.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
National Association of Theater Owners. And a few other people like that. Basically coming out and beating the drum of the economic model of trying to release movies in theaters and on streaming at the same time doesn't work, and all the math is showing that, and blah blah. So it was a whole hour of that, which was good, and everybody just kind of singing rah rah, like we've been through hell and back for the last 18 months. But there is, here's all the economic signs of recovery, that the theaters are coming back, and there's a lot of that kind of stuff. So it was pretty good.
Dolby did a great presentation, though.
Dolby was here.
Whoa.
They were the sponsors of the party last night that you went to. Mm-hmm. I didn't go because I hate people. So she went to the party last night.
I went because I love food.
And there was free food. There was a lot of free food.
Free food, I'm in.
And they came out, talked about their partnership with all theaters, the growth of Dolby Digital Cinema. They put on a great presentation. That was really good, actually. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, one of the things that I really loved about their presentation, because from I'm in front of the camera as an actor, but I'm always fascinated about what's going on behind the camera and the logistics. Anybody out there, like John has directed me, and he knows firsthand that I like to know, what camera are you using, and what kind of filters? I always like to ask questions because I'm fascinated that what's the difference between how one movie can look a certain way and then another movie can just look so different and vibrant, and the colors being so much more saturated and rich. And Dolby really, really sold themselves by having a wide array of very recognizable directors, including John Krasinski, Greta Gerwig, M. Night, like a bunch of different really prominent directors, showing not only clips from the movies that they had that they directed, but also interviewing them and them talking about, this is the difference, and then showing what a difference Dolby makes. So I was really sold from someone who doesn't really understand a lot about how it all works. Yeah, Dolby. So good for you, Dolby.
It was it was really, really quite good. And then although I wouldn't be honest with you if I didn't also say one other thing.
Here we go. Get ready.
So look, I'm not trying to be, Ned negative here, but the part of the presentation, like the MPA guys coming out and saying, hey, we got hit hard this year. Tens of thousands of people lost their jobs, places closed, it was really hard, and blah, blah, blah. And then out comes Adam Erin, CEO of AMC Theaters. A man whose single life mission seems to be wanting to destroy the theatrical business, despite the fact that he's the head of the largest theater chain in North America. And I honestly, I'm not kidding, I had to bite my tongue.
I know.
I almost made a scene. I almost made a scene in the auditorium when he came out and said, "Oh, it's been so hard." And I wanted to stand up and yell and say, "Yeah, like laying off 30,000 people and giving yourself a $9 million fucking bonus, you sack of shit." Anyway, I wanted to say that. I came this close to doing it. Kind of glad that I didn't, because I want to be here for Shang-Chi tomorrow. And I didn't want to be thrown out of CinemaCon. But yeah, that guy's hypocrisy is mind-numbingly painful. Anyway, so aside from that, delightful presentation. But then the main thing happened where the MGM presentation started. And we knew they were going to be talking about Bond. I wasn't quite sure what else they were going to talk about. I thought they were going to talk about Candyman. That's why I put Candyman in the thumbnail. Oops! They didn't talk about Candyman, because I guess they're just figuring it's opening in just a couple of days anyway, so there's no point in doing that. But they did have a number of films prior to showing us the 9-minute insane Bond scene. A couple of other films that they went through that were really pleasantly surprising. First off, let's talk about this one. Dog. Channing Tatum. I mean, look, how many movies have we had in the last couple of years about a guy and a dog? Oh, it's original. We seem to get one every month, right? At least when movies are running well. So this trailer started, this sizzle of Dog started, where Channing Tatum is ex-military, and a guy he knew in the military who was an expert at handling canines has died. And his dog is now left ownerless, and Channing Tatum takes in the dog. The dog is very difficult and very emotional and blah, blah, blah.
Well, Channing Tatum, like, he gets assigned the dog.
That's right.
Yeah, so he's a ranger. Yes. He's an army ranger, and he thinks that he's going to get this new great assignment. And I know this because I auditioned for the movie and I didn't get the part.
I forgot about that. That's right. You did. I was
like, I auditioned for this.
Yeah.
But I will say the part
that lady, that's the role I was going to play.
Yeah, and she's such a better choice than I would have been. Like, I love when I see something that I auditioned for and I go, "Oh yeah, she killed it." I would never been able. So anyway, I know a little bit about the movie, and I was really excited about this a year ago when I was auditioning for it. I was like, this is going to be a great movie, because it really, what I loved about the trailer that you see is that unlike the movie being really about the people and the dog's effect on the person, what I saw was that we see PTSD through the eyes of a dog, because this is a dog that when we first see the dog, he has a big muzzle on and he is unpredictable and has attacked people, but then we see these other sides of the dog as Channing Tatum goes on, and sees other people that the dog had worked with when the dog was in the military. And what I got out of it was, we're seeing PTSD through the eyes of an animal who has lived through combat. And that's a really unique take on the, like, guy with a dog story that it was really heartwarming and beautiful. And
I like the way you put it. Most of these dog movies are about how the dog comes into the person's life and changes the person. This was a person coming into a dog's life and helping to change the dog.
Yeah.
And it you know what? By the time that little sizzle was done, I was like, I'm on board.
Yeah,
I'm on board. It actually looks like it has a lot of upside to it. So that's Dog. So then I'm going to leave this one till a little bit later. There's another one coming that sounds so completely morbid. I think they said it debuted at Sundance.
It was in Sundance. Yeah, it was
just Sundance, called On the Count of Three. Now, this movie, the basic premise sounds horrible. Like, you shouldn't make this movie. You should not make this movie. It's about these two guys who are bound, and they both hate their lives, and they've decided that each of them are going to commit suicide. So they decide they're going to help each other commit suicide.
Die by suicide.
And they were going to... On the Count of Three comes from, it's in the trailer, where they literally hold guns to each other's head, and they say, okay, on the count of three. One, right? So that's where it comes from. And it's supposed to be a little bit of a lighthearted comedy about two guys who want to end their lives, which sounds like a terrible idea. an absolutely terrible idea. But damn it, if I didn't want to see this movie by the time the trailer was over, I was like, oh, you know what? Damn, this is actually pretty, it looks like they took a pretty profound route on it. And so it really worked for me. I really enjoyed what I saw. And so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing it. Put it on your radar. It's called On the Count of Three. What did you think of it?
I was in as a member of the CinemaCon club myself. This definitely resonated in a number of ways, and I really enjoyed the fact that they put these two people together and made it very matter of fact, because whether it's suicide or any other really challenging decision that someone is faced with in their lives, there's always going to be a certain element of absurdity, and that lends itself to a comedic element. And we saw a lot of that in this, and it just seems so raw, but a beautiful story of friendship, and how even in the darkest of times, people can maybe find some glimmer of hope in an unexpected way. And I think that this is a very timely film also. There's a lot of people coming out of really, that are currently in and coming out of a really dark space. So, I'm really excited about this.
One of the other ones that they discussed was Gucci, the House of Gucci coming out. Of course, the trailer for House of Gucci, directed by Ridley Scott. It's got Adam Driver, completely unrecognizable Jared Leto, Al Pacino, Lady Gaga. So the trailer for this dropped a while ago, and I was really looking forward to them talking about House of Gucci. And they didn't talk about House of Gucci. All they did was they showed the existing trailer. I'm like, really? MGM? Like, overall, MGM did a great job with their presentation. They really did. They did a fantastic presentation. But House of Gucci, like, here's a chance to really push this thing, and you're in front of all the theater owners here, and all they did was show the pre-existing trailer that we've already seen. And I was like, okay, I think that was a little bit of a missed opportunity. So yes, they did talk a little bit about House of Gucci, but I don't think we had anything new, did we? Did they?
No, but I will say, here's the thing. I think that the strategy that I would assume went into this is, okay, we only have a certain amount of time that we can dedicate to our presentation. Where do we want to put all of our money? And who are we talking to right now? Are we talking to members of the Academy, or are we talking to theater owners? Oh, we're talking to theater owners. And all theater owners really care about is, what are the movies that the people that come to my theater in Wisconsin or in Boise, Idaho, or Nebraska, what are they going to want to see? Are they going to want to see House of Gucci? Maybe.
But that's why you really got to target them to get you got to sell them on putting it on their screens.
Yes, but here's the thing. I think that that MGM is not looking at House of Gucci as a moneymaker. I think they're looking at House of Gucci as their awards film. Let's face it, Bond is not going to win, probably, sorry if I upset anybody, is probably not going to win a lot of awards for things outside of the technical world.
Right.
Whereas Gucci, I mean, they made it very clear. They were like, Academy Award winner Lady Gaga, Academy Award nominee Adam Driver, Academy Award winner Jared Leto, Academy Award nominee, really, like, every single person that they list, it was Academy Award winner or Academy Award nominee. They were making it very clear, this is going to be our award season film. And that's why I think that they weren't putting whereas they know that with movies like Bond and the other one that we're going to talk about, that's going to be the one that's going to be like, oh my God, this is going to drive people into the theater. We really want you to be excited about these movies because this is where the money's going to be. Whereas House of Gucci is going to be our awards movie. Right. That's what I got out of it, which is why I was fine with it.
True, but then they spent time on other films that aren't going to be big blockbusters, like On the Count of Three and things like that.
Right, but I think that that's also something that, like, House of Gucci is a movie that, just because of the sheer pedigree of who's in it, there's going to be a certain degree of interest regardless.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Right. Whereas with On the Count of Three, it's an unknown director, it's unknown actors, it's a movie that, that theater owners probably wouldn't be on their radar, and they wouldn't necessarily know to even be interested in it. So I'm glad that they gave a little bit more time to a movie that's not going to have a huge press tour. I mean, as Mike DeLuca, who was, leading the presentation with Pamela Abdy, from MGM, as Mike DeLuca said, House of Gucci, otherwise on Instagram known as Lady Gaga and Adam Driver's tour of Italy. It's already getting the buzz that a movie like On the Count of Three is just not going to get. So I like the fact that they gave a little bit more time to a, quote, underdog movie.
Right, but what I would have preferred, instead of if you're going to take 2 minutes to show us the trailer for House of Gucci,
bring us something new.
Show us something else.
Yeah, I get that.
That's the one
fair.
thing. I don't think they needed to spend 20 minutes on it, but just instead of just showing us something everybody had already seen, even if it's just a new trailer, or a clip or something.
But okay, that's fair.
They could have done that. All right, 2 more films to talk about here before we get into the Bond stuff. Let's start with this one. We've been talking for a while about this new Sylvester Stallone film. Stallone is hopping on the superhero movie business train. And
Suicide Squad?
Suicide Squad. I mean, he was in Guardians of the Galaxy, Part 2, I should say. So now he's got one coming out called Samaritan. And we talked about it on the John Campea Show months and months and months ago. And you'd be forgiven if you forgot about it. But basically, Sylvester Stallone plays a guy who was a superhero like 30 years ago or something, and he disappeared. Everybody thought he was dead, and now he's like a garbage man. He's just a garbage man in the city.
A sanitation worker.
And then some kid recognizes him for who he is. And then the trailer goes batshit crazy. And listen, I will fully admit that I like the idea of the aging superhero. I like that a lot. That was something that I liked about the idea. What was that Netflix superhero show that just got canceled? It was on for where the lead guy is called the Utopian. What was the name of that damn show, guys? Come on, put it into the live chat. The one that just got canceled. Anyway, that show, and it's Jupiter's Legacy. Thank you, Ben Holmes, Avenge, Curtis, a bunch of you guys got Jupiter's Legacy. That was it. So I liked the notion of looking at it from the aging superhero's point of view, but I really thought this is just Stallone trying to get in the superhero game in a lead way and blah blah blah. The trailer was really good.
So good.
I was actually surprised because I'm watching it and I'm getting really into it. I'm like, I don't know what Erin thinks about this. And when the trailer ended, you're like, you're really excited about it. What do you think about it?
I thought it was fantastic. And first of all, it's so interesting how Sylvester Stallone, for all that he has accomplished, for some reason, he still often gets put in this box of the dopey action guy, when he's really a phenomenal actor.
He's an Academy Award nominated actor.
He is a really incredible actor, and because I think that most of his work has focused on action films, he doesn't get the credit as an actor that he often deserves. At least when people talk about him, yes, he's Academy Award nominated, but we don't talk about Sylvester Stallone in the same way that we sometimes talk about other more high caliber considered actors. And this was such a beautiful portrayal of someone, like, you saw the pain of time wear on him. And you see the struggle of him wanting to stay quiet and not wanting anyone to know who he is. And then he also, we saw the pain of age and what time has done to him, even though he is a superhero. And then we also saw some really awesome fight scenes.
Yeah.
And I love a fight scene, but I'm really particular about fight scenes, and here's why. I don't want to see an old man do fight scenes as if he's 25. And then it's very clear that it's a stunt double because we're seeing everything from the back of his head or an angle or whatever.
Stallone's a bull.
Yeah.
Stallone's a bull.
And what I loved about, I really want to look up who did the stunt choreography on this movie, because it was brilliant, because it wasn't old guy doing young guy stuff. It was brick shit house,
Beating the shit out of people.
Beating the shit out of people and doing things that were age appropriate, but also showing the wear and tear of time on his body. So it was believable. Like, I actually went, yeah, I buy that. I buy all of that. And this was not a movie that in any way was on my radar. Sanitation worker, former superhero, comes back. Not interested. However, after seeing the trailer, like, MGM marketing, you guys killed it, because that trailer has now made a fan out of me, and I 100% am interested in seeing it. And this brings me to a point, and this is also going to apply to the other films that we're going to, the one that we're about to talk about specifically. But what I felt like MGM did so well, and I really credit Mike DeLuca and Pamela Abdy for really focusing on this. Like Sony last night focused on, hey, we are exclusive in the theaters, and that was what they really focused on. And even though MGM made that same commitment, their real push was, we are making films that are such high quality that people won't want to see them on their couch.
Right.
And that's what I felt, is every movie I saw, I was like, oh, I want to see that in the theaters. I'm sure you feel this way. There are movies that we all go, yeah, I'll wait and I'll see that on my couch. And then movies that go, oh no, I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't see. And that's how I felt overall about MGM, was that their presentation really said to the theater owners, we are making products for you guys to be able to have something that people want to see in person. So, but yeah.
And Samaritan is one of those.
Absolutely.
And just feeding off what you were saying about Stallone, I'm telling you, man, that like Stallone, he can't do everything he used to be able to do, but he can still do a lot. Yeah. And the way, like, obviously the physical shape he keeps himself in, I don't care what brand of horse steroids he's using. I don't care.
He's vegan.
Is he?
Arnold Schwarzenegger is vegan. I'm pretty sure Sylvester Stallone is. It's a whole thing.
I've seen him eating like big porterhouse steaks. I don't know. Maybe it's a recent thing, but he keeps himself in ridiculously good shape, and he's moving great. He moves great, and so you're right. It's believable. Like sometimes you see, you know what? Cry Macho, great example. Wonderful trailer. Clint Eastwood.
Troy Robinson is the stunt coordinator. Thank you, Ellis. Troy Robinson.
There you go.
Stunt coordinator.
So you watch the trailer for Cry Macho, and it's a great looking trailer. I can't wait to watch that movie. Clint Eastwood is the GOAT, but they shows him beating up a guy, and I'm like, yeah, come on. But when Stallone is on screen doing it, you're like, yeah, I completely buy this. I completely buy this. So that's, guys, Samaritan. Stallone, an aging superhero, has been in hiding for 30 years, comes back out, just starts kicking everybody's ass. And it really looks like fun. So sign me up for Samaritan. Okay. There's another movie that, I'm not kidding, you're going to cry just when we talk about it. She was literally in tears and crying in the theater.
I was literally like, John became my 16-year-old boyfriend. I was like, ooh.
She was so emotional, but I think a lot of people think... Now, I remember about a year ago, we did like one story where a story came out that Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones, Emmy Award-winning actor Peter Dinklage, he was doing a version of the Cyrano de Bergerac tale, just called Cyrano. And I remember we talked about it a year ago, and I had completely forgotten about it. Completely. For those of you who don't know, the tale of Cyrano de Bergerac. There's several iterations on screen, both by like Gerard Depardieu. Then, of course, you got the Steve Martin version called Roxanne. The whole idea of Cyrano de Bergerac is there's a man with, let's just say, limitations in his physical appearance. Different iterations make that limitation of his physical appearance. The classic Cyrano is that he's got a really long nose. In this one, his physical appearance limitation, at least in his own eyes, is his height, right? So the idea is Cyrano is in love with this woman, Roxanne. And they are friends. But along comes another guy who's a beautiful dude. And so Roxanne's kind of taken with him a bit, but Roxanne doesn't really dig him because he's not all that bright. So Cyrano comes up with this idea. Tell you what, she will fall in love with you with my words. And then you've seen that play out in 100 different movies where like the guy will put in an earpiece and somebody else is telling him what to say to the beautiful girl or whatever. That all comes from Cyrano de Bergerac. So here you got Peter Dinklage doing a version of Cyrano, and it's a musical, and everybody, all 3,000 people in that auditorium were mesmerized by this trailer. I suspect MGM will probably drop it online, so maybe after this video you guys can go and look for the trailer for Cyrano with see if it's there. They should have it online now. If not, it'll be up soon. Guys, I'm telling you what, this has shot to like my top 5 most anticipated movies. It just looks phenomenal. Now, of course, Sam, we'll get to this a little bit later because Sam wrote it in, but it says Dinklage did Cyrano musical off-Broadway around the time that Game of Thrones ended. So maybe it's an adaptation of that, don't know. But this movie, Cyrano with Peter Dinklage, in my top 5 most anticipated movies right now. It looks incredible. When you get a chance to see the trailer, do go and see it. You were moved by it even more than me. So you never even heard of this project before, but
no.
How did it hit you?
I mean, well, I got a lot of hormones going on right now, so I'm a little weepy as it is. But first of all, Haley Bennett, who plays Roxanne, from the moment that she starts singing, I felt like my chest cavity opened up and my heart just fluttered out onto the screen. Yeah. It was so beautiful, and it has that essence of Shakespeare in Love and what was the movie Baz Luhrmann with
Moulin Rouge?
Moulin Rouge, but also, I mean, it was just so beautifully captivating, and I really felt the longing that Peter Dinklage had.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, God, he loves her so much. And in the trailer, there's this moment where she's talking about how she loves someone and he thinks she's talking about him, and that this is the moment and he's going to be able to say, but I love you too, and this is it. And then she says it's someone else. And
he realizes she's talking about somebody else, and the pain in his face that he doesn't want to show her. Dinklage's performance in that one moment, I'm like, okay, Dink, you got an Emmy, you're going to be putting an Oscar next to it pretty soon. You're going to be putting an Oscar next to it.
So incredible. It's just, and that was one of those moments that I was thinking, you know what? It would be like, you guys have heard me talk about 1917 before, that I'm so thankful that I saw it for the first time in a theater at Alamo Drafthouse, my favorite theater. But this is one of those movies that if you don't see this in the theater, you will be robbing yourself of the most incredible experience. And I can say that literally...
At least we think from the trailer.
But here's the thing, though. If this movie does not live up to the trailer,
you're gonna be pissed.
Well, no, I'm going to be really impressed. Because whoever created that trailer made a silk purse out of a sow's ear then. And I think that this is going to be silk purse out of a silk purse. I am very excited about this. I am ready for one of those beautiful, epic love story musicals. And I think that this is going to be it. I'm ready for it. And bring your tissue, and I hope you are too.
So, honestly, it was a big win for MGM. Dog, Cyrano, Samaritan, On the Count of Three, House of Gucci, although they should have done more with that. There was one other one for me, I have no interest, to be honest with you. They did highlight and show off Addams Family 2, and I didn't care about it before seeing the footage. I don't care about it after the footage myself. I'm sure it's going to have an audience. I'm totally sure it is. I'm sure maybe some of you guys are really looking forward to it, and that's great. I have no interest. But I don't know, what do you think of the footage they showed?
I am much more of a fan. I love Addams Family, but I love the live-action Addams Family films. I loved the TV show. I've loved all of the live-action films. I don't personally, but I feel like there's the Tim Burton crowd, I feel, is very much going to be interested in this. It had that aesthetic. I don't know who the director of this film was, but it very much had that like Jack Pumpkinhead kind of vibe to it. What I think is interesting about this story is that every time we've seen the Addams Family before, we've been in their world where we're in their small town and seen how they interact with, their other, with their community as the outsiders. But then the irony, of course, is that they represent a loving, functional family despite being the outsiders, and everyone around them who's supposedly normal is actually completely dysfunctional. But so what I like about this film is that it's actually the Addams family coming into our world. They go on a trip around.
Road trip. It's a road trip
they go on a
movie.
road trip. So it's sort of like Muppets Take Manhattans and National Lampoon's Family Vacation. And so I thought that was really funny because one of the moments of the trailer that you and I both got a nice laugh out of was the car like flies through a progressive billboard, and you see the character who represents Flo. And so I like the fact that when you take, I always love, it's one of the reasons why Secret Life of Pets 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time. I will watch it any time of the day or night, is because I like seeing the parts of my world that I consider normal. I like seeing those in animation, and I like seeing it when other people or cats and dogs go into that world. So I think it's cute. I wouldn't say that it's like on the top of my list, but overall, the MGM presentation was phenomenal.
We forgot one. We forgot a film. And one that we both really liked what we saw. James Argento reminded me of this in the live chat. There was one other film. Totally forgot about it. And we loved what we saw.
What am I?
It's got Colin Farrell.
Oh my God!
Viggo Mortensen.
Oh my God!
Joel Edgerton.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
13 Lives.
Thank you.
I can't believe we forgot about that.
Oh my God! Yes. Jesus, we knew, and we were like, God, what are we forgetting? Oh my gosh! I just started sweating. I got so excited about this film. Okay, go.
So, so for 13 Lives, based on the true story, I believe it was Thailand. Yeah, it was Thailand, where these 13 kids went into a cave, but then flooding happened. They got stuck down there for days in this big international effort to try to get them out.
And these were kids who were they were sort of like the equivalent of Boy Scouts. They were on an expedition.
Yeah.
They weren't like trespassing and being assholes. They were like kids that were, going into this cave, and
it got flooded and they got stuck. And so you got these characters, the primary characters, it looks like Joel Edgerton, Colin Farrell, Viggo Mortensen. And they're charged with trying to figure out how to get these kids out and how to save them. And when the trailer started, why am I always so pessimistic when trailers start? But when it started, I'm like, oh, it's remember this harrowing event that happened? Let's do a movie about it. And quite often they don't work out very well. But the trailer ended and I was like, no, play more.
Oh, yeah.
Play more.
I was hoping they were going to surprise us with and now you're going to see the film.
And now the movie. Yeah, they didn't do that, though. But it looks really good. You guys know I'm a big Colin Farrell fan. I think this dude is a tremendously underrated actor. I thought he should have been, no hyperbole here, I really thought he should have been nominated for an Academy Award for Saving Mr. Banks. Yeah. He was in a movie with Tom Hanks, and he stole the show. And then what's that one he did with Brendan Gleeson? Guys, why am I forgetting the name of the one with Brendan? He does with Brendan Gleeson. Anyway, that movie's awesome. He's an incredible performer. He's really, really good. Viggo Mortensen is Viggo Mortensen, Academy Award winner Viggo Mortensen. And Joel Edgerton, we were just talking about Joel Edgerton the other day about how great In Bruges. Thank you. Wilfred was the first one to put it in. Quirky Joe In Bruges. Yes, love In Bruges. In Bruges is great. But it's Viggo Mortensen not acting like we've seen Viggo Mortensen act before. Colin Farrell not acting like any character we've seen Colin Farrell act like before. Joel Edgerton, we've seen him do this kind of role before, but he does it so well, it doesn't matter. It looks great. And even though we all know how it ends, it doesn't matter. It looks awesome. I cannot wait. What were your thoughts? I'm going to grab a water.
Yeah, you know what I loved about the trailer was that it captured us by essentially setting up, hey, we all remember it. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, I remember being captivated by this story of, these young boys, and are they going to be able to get them out? And what I loved about it was that it set up, okay, we found the boys. Because I thought the whole thing was, oh my gosh, these boys are stuck and they don't know we don't know how far they are in there, how to get to them, blah, blah, blah. But no, the trailer says, finding them was just the beginning.
Yeah.
And then it went into the unbelievably challenging logistics of how to get them back out. Now, when I was living in New Zealand, I did like this 7-hour spelunking tour where you actually abseil into the mouth of a cave, and then you go cave climbing and diving, and then you actually swim upstream in a river, and it's all under rocks, and you have a light on your thing. I know, you wouldn't think that I would do this.
I could totally see you doing that.
But I was in it to win it. And this was a guided, like they do this every single day. They know the paths. They know exactly what the traps are. And it was still insanely challenging. So I was thinking, okay, that was something that was specifically set up. And there were moments that I was like, I'm going to die. This is a never before in the history of the world had this ever been attempted. And they were, trying to figure it out in real time. The greatest people on the planet, the Navy SEALs, the Peace Corps, everybody in the world was congregating to save these children. And the eyes of the world were upon them. So any mistake made would have been devastating, not just for the children, but for the entire world that was watching. And they really, what I also thought was so beautiful was the way that they made you feel like you were in the moment. You were in there. You felt like you were underwater. Again, we're talking about 13, what's the name of it?
13 Lives.
13 Lives. 13 Lives. It was just phenomenal. Yeah, I'm really excited.
It looked great, and again, kudos. Other than Addams Family 2, to me, it was they knocked it out of the park. MGM knocked it out of the park, this presentation, so big kudos to them. And of course, then it ended with the crown jewel. Now, I didn't know if they were going to do, once they showed us the House of Gucci trailer, I thought, oh, when they get around to James Bond, they're just going to show us the same trailer we already saw. And they're like, we have a scene from the movie for you. And I didn't know if it was going to be 30 seconds. It was 9 minutes and of one scene. And it culminates. Now, you guys saw that one shot in the trailer of James Bond, No Time to Die, where he's in the car, machine guns coming out of the headlights, and he spins the car around, right? This was the full 9-minute scene leading up to that and culminating in that. And it is bonkers. It is absolutely bonkers. And one of the best things about it, this is going to sound crazy, but it wasn't just the action that's going on. Oh my God, Carrie, who directed the film, the way they shot the backgrounds and the scenery and the city that they're in, I'm like, this is so gorgeous, and the action is so unbelievable. First he's fighting hand to hand, then he's on a motorcycle, then he's in his car, and then he's like out on foot. It's nuts. And I'm watching this thing and I'm like, oh my God, if the rest of this movie is this, like, not constant nonstop action, but I mean, if the rest of the movie has this level of quality and this kind of DNA to it, this has the potential to be the best Bond film ever. Now, I'm saying that off of watching the 10 minutes of it, but it was fabulous. I don't know if they're going to release this 9 or 10 minutes online or not. If they do, watch it immediately. But I've been excited about Bond for 2 years now. I've been excited for this movie. I have never been this excited. This took my anticipation of the whole next level. And you were losing your mind. She was hitting me and grabbing me, and I thought she was going to rip my shirt. And she's like, ah, 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 as the whole thing's going on.
I was screaming out loud in the theater. And that's why I always love going to the movies with John. Because when I go to the movies with Tom, I'll try to do my thing. And he's like, relax. And then I have to, grab the other person. John, he lets me pull him. He lets me pinch him. He lets me punch him. He lets me scream in his ear. He lets me, get all of my emotions out. And this was one where I got them all out. And, and in addition to the anxiety,
stressful too.
I'm going to have to get a massage after this because the tension in my neck from watching everything like this of, oh my God, and not just with the action, but I don't know how, I need to watch behind the scenes of how these things are done because the chase scenes when he's on a motorcycle,
insane,
defy the laws of gravity and physics. And he gets into this whole argument with his wife, and just the tension between those two, and they're doing it while being shot at with machine guns by multiple people all around them. I mean, it is so intense that I felt like I had been on a physical roller coaster by the
so
end
did
of
I.
it.
And she was the roller coaster.
And, because I love car chases. I love car chases when they're really done well. And this was just boom, 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 boom. I mean, they really closed it out on a great note. And you guys said, I said yesterday, I don't know how Sony is going to, how anyone is going to top what Sony did. And I said to John, I don't think that MGM topped it. I just think, wow, these were two very distinct, different presentations, but both fantastic, wonderful, and really not just makes me excited about MGM and what they have coming out, but also just the state of the theater industry for the future. I'm really excited. It's making me excited to go back to the movies.
One of the neat things, too, that the MGM people mentioned at the beginning of the presentation was, because, a lot of studios have been selling their movies off to streaming things. They don't know what to do. MGM, they made a point when they came out and they said, no, we pushed all of our movies. We pushed them because our movies are to play in theaters. And so instead of selling them off to streamers or trying to do anything else, they said, no, we just kept pushing them because that's what these movies need. And then showing us this Bond thing, there's just no other way to watch this movie. Yeah. There's just no other way to watch this movie, and I cannot wait. So bravo to, two great presentations. Sony last night, MGM this morning. We got Warner Brothers a little bit later today. And before we go over to your live comments, you guys are sending in, once again, if you want to send in a question or comment, whatever, use the super chat feature on YouTube here. Don't use the tip link. That's for the John Campea Show. Use the super chat feature. We've already got a bunch in, but again, tonight is Warner Brothers. So at about 7 or 8 o'clock, probably about 8 o'clock tonight, 8 o'clock Los Angeles time, we're going to be doing our next stream, which will be the Warner Brothers recap. Now, I'm expecting to see things from Batman, from Flash, from Black Adam, from, a lot of things, maybe Matrix. They got a lot of things that they're going to be covering. I am super fascinated to see if they come out, hat in hand, and go, wow, we really shit the bed with our whole HBO thing this year, didn't we? Or are they just going to leave it as the elephant in the room and not address it? I am very curious. Because remember, CinemaCon is all theater owners. Big movie theater chains, little single screen, mom and pop theater chains from across the country. That's what this all is. And nobody betrayed these theater owners more this year than Warner Brothers did. So I'm going to be really curious to see if it'll be... Because, they announced, we're done with this HBO experiment. We're done with it. 2022, starting in 2022. It's all theatrical for us, so blah, blah. So it's going to be really interesting to see if these these 3,000 movie theater owners embrace them today.
Or bring pitchforks.
Or bring pitchforks and start throwing, like
tomatoes.
The old woman from Princess Bride. Boo!
Boo! Boo!
The queen of filth! The queen of pubescence! I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. But I am dying to see what Warner Brothers is bringing to the stage. Because there's a very interesting dynamic here. Warner Brothers also has another event called Fandom, DC Fandom, coming out. They did one last year. So obviously they're going to want to save a lot of stuff for that. But they could show us a lot of stuff here. Because there's nobody else on the planet Warner Brothers needs to make up with more than the movie theater owners. So what could happen is they could show the movie theater owners tonight at their presentation a whole hell of a lot of stuff that they just don't release online, and they save it then for D20, or I keep wanting to say D23, for DC Fandom. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But for now, let's go over and start taking, I'll hand this back over to Erin, your live comments and questions talking about the MGM presentation and all sorts of wonderful things. So, Erin, what do we have?
All right. Well, Daryl Best Wadley says no reviews yet for Candyman. Is it a bad movie, you think?
I was noticing that the other day. That for all I know, maybe reviews started dropping. Now, I have not seen it. There was a press screening invitation, I believe, a week or two ago. I just didn't go to it. But yeah, it's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Jesse Swift says, John, I noticed you keep talking about Craven casting. Did you forget Aaron Taylor-Johnson, sir?
Yeah, we discussed that last night. Yeah, so that came up later in the stream last night. But yes, somebody wrote in to remind me of this cast. It's like, I thought, for some reason in the back of my head, I thought somebody was cast. I totally forgot about it. Then somebody in the live chat mentioned Aaron Taylor-Johnson. We're like, yes, that's right. It's Aaron Taylor-Johnson. So yes, already discussed.
KC Mack says, hey, John and Aaron. Hey, there's something I got to know that I forgot to ask last night. Does Ghostbusters Afterlife, actually.
Yeah,
Ghostbusters Afterlife at least have the Ghostbusters song.
We're not telling you anything. We're not saying a thing. We're not going to spoil a single thing about it. So I appreciate you asking, but I hope you can appreciate why we're not going to answer that.
All right, Ismail Montoya has a 3-parter. Hey, John, hear me out. I think Doctor Strange 2 will be the culmination of everything we've gotten so far. Therefore, this Spider-Man No Way Home should end in some cliffhanger for DS2. What if the chaos magic that Dr. A used in the spell on the trailer will attract Wanda and help or fight Dr. S toward the end of the film? Thoughts?
Kevin Feige's really not in the habit of making these movies end on cliffhangers. Kevin Feige's got a thing of making all of his movies complete things. Even Infinity War, which led into Endgame, but Infinity War was not a cliffhanger. Infinity War was the end of the movie. The bad guy won. Now, years later, there's another story to tell, and that's Endgame. But Kevin Feige doesn't seem to do that. So, yeah, I don't know. I think there's still a lot of question marks. There's a lot of possibilities out there. That's one of them. But I don't think Kevin Feige is going to end this movie in any sort of a way that makes it feel like the movie's incomplete. And now you have to go see Doctor Strange 2 to see how this... So I don't know that he's going to do that. We'll have to wait and see.
And his third question from Ismail Montoya says, John, it seems Dr. S was being careless with chaos magic. What if Wong was leaving the Sanctorium? Sanctorium? Is that how you said that?
I think so.
The Sanctorium to figure out what was going on with Dr. S. Kind of weird.
Well, first of all, that's making a couple of assumptions. We don't know that he was using chaos magic. Just because the color red was there doesn't necessarily mean anything. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Casey Mack says, okay, John, Strange is not Mephisto all along, but seeing that No Way Home could likely have 6 villains in it, and I am only able to spot clues to 5, what if Strange is actually Mysterio?
Doubt it. No, I don't know, because he couldn't fool Wong. He couldn't fool, Sorcerer, stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead. It's an interesting theory, though. I like the theory, but I'm going to say no, I don't think that's possible.
Casey Mack also says, now let's get back to the topic for today. Sounds like what you saw with Bond today was awesome. Any word on if they will keep its current release?
MGM seemed pretty firm. This movie comes out in October. There was no wavering. There was no, we're looking at the schedule now. Because listen, they had already said, we'll push our movies as much as we need to make sure they stay theatrical. So it wouldn't have been any problem for them to then say to the theater owners, hey, look, we're looking at October. We may have to push it back again a couple of months. I think the theater owners would have been fine to hear that, but there wasn't any hint of that. It was all from them. This movie's coming out in October, so I don't think they're moving it again.
They were very clear about that. Totodile Dundee says, just want to say love you guys so much.
Aw,
thank you for being my favorite content on all of YouTube. More than cat videos? Really? But thank you.
Cats.
D's Nuts says, hey, John, the heart circle date on the calendar in WandaVision was August 23rd. Same date Spider-Man trailer was released. Coincidence or master planning?
Absolute coincidence. First of all, you got to understand this. I actually had a couple of people tweet this to me and also write to me saying, hey, you remember in WandaVision there was a heart on the calendar on the date of August 23rd. Do you really think they're putting that in for a day that they're going to drop a trailer? No. On top of that, you also have to remember, Marvel has nothing to do with deciding when trailers come out for Spider-Man. That is solely a Sony decision. That's all Sony, all day, every day. So while Kevin Feige and team are making the movie, what happens with the movie, how it's marketed, where it goes, when it drops, all that kind of stuff, that's all Sony's decision. So no, absolute pure coincidence. A welcome coincidence, but a coincidence nonetheless.
Cutter Hale says, love the Sony coverage. Can't wait for Ghostbusters and No Way Home. Just wondering if you are able to tell us, how big of a role the OG Ghostbusters have in Afterlife. If you can't, no worries. Also, can't wait for more CinemaCon.
First of all, thank you. The Sony presentation last night was great. What a wonderful surprise being able to watch Ghostbusters. But we're not going to tell you anything other than our general thoughts, but we're not going to tell you anything that gives away any details whatsoever.
Charlie Jeffrey Hood says, was there any news or updates about Creed 3?
No, because I don't even think they've started shooting it. So I don't think so. There's no news. They did talk about Creed 3 a little bit, just kind of boasting that, hey, we got Michael B. Jordan making his directorial debut and blah, blah. So they talked a little bit about Creed, but really no details. Certainly no information, no news, just that they're all very excited about and they can't wait to do it.
Cutter Hale also says, over under 50% WB gets boos and ugly looks from the crowd tonight as they start their presentation for the way they have handled movie theaters.
I am fascinated. Like when you're walking down the sidewalk in your car and you hear tires screeching, like somebody slamming on the brakes, you want to look around. What's about to happen? That's what I feel like going into the WB presentation tonight. I have no idea. What do you think's going to happen?
I think we're going to get there early so that we get a front row seat so we can see the beads of sweat.
I want to see it all.
No, you know what? Here's the thing. This is not a tomato throwing crowd. What I feel and what I felt this morning, based on what the different when we were in the state of the industry discussion with different people getting up and speaking, was that this is an audience, and I feel this. And maybe it's because I have a theater background, and so I when you're on stage, you start to breathe the same breath as the audience, and you can tell when you're out of sync in your breathing with them, and when they're in there with you. And I could physically feel when the audience would start to turn on the speaker based on what they were saying. And it was all when the speaker was asking stuff of them. And then when the speaker was saying, this is what I've done, and this is what I'm willing to continue doing, and this is part of making a difference, and you guys have already done enough, so thank you. You could I could feel the resentment. It was almost like the room was turning like an orange color when they were being asked of something, like, we need you guys to all pull together, and it's like they were like, no, motherfucker, we've done enough.
Yeah,
we're barely hanging on. Okay. And so I feel like it's not necessarily going to be boos hissing. It's going to be a feeling, a sensation that's going to be so thick it will be impossible for the presenters not to feel it.
I'll give it a 30% chance that you get a what's the word I'm looking for? A tomato thrown. Not literal, but
a comment.
Yeah, a comment or something.
I wouldn't be surprised if there is a boo at a certain thing that someone says.
It's going to be tense.
It's going to be very tense.
It's going to be tense. So and so that's why I think, number one, but let me say this. Kudos to Warner Brothers for showing up.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember which presidents and vice presidents are coming on stage tonight. They could have very easily gone, these motherfuckers are going to hate us, so I don't feel like walking on that stage in front of 3,000 or 4,000 of them and taking their heat. And I wouldn't have blamed them for that. Full marks for them to show up and to say, you know what? We are going to stand on that stage, and we're going to account for this, and we're going to do our thing, and we're going to make a presentation, and hopefully they're extra motivated to really bring a hell of a presentation. Because, I always say, winning cures everything. If they can get on that stage tonight and say, look, 2021 was a shit show for all of us. But 2022, we can't wait to get back to our theatrical exclusives, and we've got some damn good movies coming, and we want to show you what we're bringing, and then, really hit it. I mean, they could turn it pretty quick. So again, I say full marks to Warner Brothers because they're showing some testicular fortitude here. So,
but they're also going to have to, in addition to what they already have stacked up against them, they're also coming on the heels of two really
amazing
solid presentations.
Yep, they got to bring it.
So them just coming with, hey, we've got these really great movies. They're gonna have to do so much. Like, the bar is already so high for them because of on their own accord.
Yeah, it's like me telling you I'm going to be playing my guitar at the coffee shop tonight, and by the way, Rolling Stones is going to open for me. By the way, R.I.P. Charlie Watts.
Also, it would be as if you had also said, "Hey, everybody who drinks coffee sucks ass."
yes, that's actually the perfect analogy. I come out and say, "Hey, coffee sucks, and you're a fucking loser if you drink coffee." By the way, I'm going to be performing at the coffee house tonight. Come on,
and the Rolling Stones
are opening up. Yeah, yeah.
So
listen, they got a tall order in front of them tonight. Warner Brothers has a tall order. I cannot wait to get into this thing, and I cannot wait to see what they're going to show us. All right, what's next?
Casey Max says, is there a chance WB could announce Dune could be only in theaters tonight?
Listen, you want to turn the audience your way? You get on stage tonight, and you say, this year has been hard on all of us, but we are standing here right now to announce to all of you guys, we're going to bring out Denis Villeneuve right now. And Denis Villeneuve, first of all, I'm going to lose my shit if Denis Villeneuve comes out on stage, because he fucking hates the people at Warner Brothers right now. But if they bring him out on stage and they make some announcement, Dune is going to be play the way it was meant to be played, theatrical, exclusive. I'll only give that a 20% chance that it's happening. But my God, if they did it, you want to talk about turning the crowd back in your favor? That would go a long way. I think that would go a real long way. All right.
Stefan de Lint-Wouter says, from Belgium with love.
Oh,
I love
nice.
your chocolates and your bagels. I mean your waffles. Jesus.
Who makes the bagels?
New York.
Well, I mean they're not the only ones who make bagels.
New York?
Yeah. But they're famous for, they make famous bagels.
No, but I'm saying Belgium, it's like I had a waffle the other day that was specifically a Belgian waffle, and I've never known, like, a waffle's a waffle,
What
right?
makes a waffle Belgian?
It's lighter and it's thicker, but I'm telling you, when you bite into it...
I was going to say something, but I'm not, because I'm growing up. Okay, sorry. Please continue.
You'll tell me afterwards. It's actually, it's like, it's almost as if you're eating a cloud, a beautiful puffy cloud. It's just a different experience. And I said to Tom, I had a Belgian waffle with Tom recently, and I said, I've never had a Belgian waffle before, or I guess that I realized, and I will never eat another waffle that's not Belgium. But anyway...
Back onto the topic.
Thank you, Stefan. Donaldo Martinez sends in some birdie emojis. So thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
And Dragonton does the same thing. More birdie emojis. Appreciate that. Terrence Fisher says, chances for some Henry Cavill news at WB presentation.
I don't know. They're here to talk about movies, not about actors. So I'm going to guess none. None news. Remember... They're not really here to make announcements. They're here to show off what they have coming. Like, that's... Because remember, this thing is about movie theater owners. That's what's... It's not for press. It's not for fans. It's not whatever. It's for movie theater owners. So the studios are coming to show off and try to wow and impress the movie theater owners with the movies they've got coming. So I'm not expecting any news, per se. I mean, other than, like, them stepping out and saying, hey, that Dune movie we got coming? Yeah, theaters only. That would be kind of news, but it would be relevant to the event. Otherwise, no random news or stuff like that.
Mr47 said, I forgot, CinemaCon is for press only, right?
No, it's for theater owners only. Some press are allowed to come. They do make some room for press. Not a lot of... Here's the funny thing. Not a lot of press come to cover CinemaCon. And to me, that's wild, because this is the best event. Like, this is... To me, this is even better than Comic-Con. For movie coverage, this is better than Comic-Con. Comic-Con as an overall event is better, but for movie coverage, this is the best. So not many even come, but it is primarily for theater owners. It's not a press event.
But I thought that you said that anyone could go to CinemaCon as long as you're able to buy the ticket.
And you got to show you're at least... somehow, some way, remotely connected to the industry.
Oh, yes, I see.
Yes.
You do have to have a certain amount of credentials.
Yeah, you got it. So you can buy yourself a ticket for like $1,200, and you can buy a ticket for $1,200 and say, I work at a video store. All right, that's probably good enough. But if you like try to buy a ticket and you say, I work at, I don't know, Starbucks. I work at Starbucks. They're probably not going to sell you the ticket, but it's all you got to do is show some kind of loose connection to something.
And which is great because it's not as much as I love Comic-Con. Let's face it, if you've ever been, you know it's a shit show. There's a lot of people. It's impossible.
Yeah, this is an industry event.
Right.
It's an industry event.
So when you want to go get some food, you can go get some food without having to wait 3 hours in line at a Subway to get a sandwich. This is very different from Comic-Con. All right, Blue Jay says it's going to be interesting on how Bond would do. It's going to do great.
It's going to do great. It's going to do great by the definition of great in today's environment. So it's going to do, I believe it's going to do better than Fast 9 and Black Widow. But it's not going to make $1.2 billion or anything like that because of the status of things. But it's going to do very, very well. I believe it's going to do really well, especially once word of mouth comes out about it.
Anton Riley says, I agree. On the count of 3 sounds awful. We didn't say that.
Well, no, I did.
Said the idea of it.
If somebody jumped in the elevator and gave me the elevator pitch for On the Count of 3, I would probably say that's ridiculous. Like you can't make that into something that's going to be engaging for an audience or whatever. It just sounds too black, I guess, like dark,
Hi, Romeo and Juliet. What's more dark than that? And it's one of the greatest stories ever told.
And you don't see people lining up to go see that movie.
Excuse me.
I'm just saying.
The Baz Luhrmann version basically made Claire Danes and Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio, this was pre-Titanic. He was not Leo.
Yeah, but it was post-Gilbert Grape and,
because Leo was such a heartthrob in Gilbert Grape.
I'm just saying. A couple of teenagers that commit suicide sounds more fun than this.
Die by suicide, John. It's 2021. We're very PC these days.
Don't
Die
care.
by suicide. I'm kidding. All right, Ben Rayner says, hi, John and Erin. Hi. Thanks for giving us a show. You're welcome. I didn't get to comment about No Way Home last night. Just wanted to say that I love the trailer and the CGI what does that mean? CGI Degage?
Degage at end? I don't know.
The CGI Degage.
De-age. You probably meant to say de-age.
Oh, yes. Okay. Sorry.
For Melina. Yeah.
The CGI De Aging at the end looked good to me. Thanks. Bring on the filthy.
Well, I mean, look. To be honest, I don't know how good the de-aging looked because it's a very quick shot and it's moving, it's moving around. It's not a hold steady shot, and he's wearing the sunglasses. So in the realm on the scale of difficulty in doing a de-aging thing, that one doesn't rank very high. But it's going to be interesting to see how he does look in the movie. Absolutely.
Okay, next we have a little another little flying bird from Carl Bruce. Thank you for that. Casey Mack says, sorry, JW Dominion is Universal, not WB. My fault. Okay. Cool. Derek Thomas Pierce Phillips says, hey, Erin, sent you an email about a Stay Puft Man. Yes, Derek, I did get your email, and I wanted to let you know, already I ordered a...
you ordered it already?
Yes, from GameStop. Somebody messaged John
sent me a link.
Little Stay Puft guys, and I already ordered them, and they already are going to be placed in Baby Degnan's nursery. However, Derek Pierce from the Brick Space, if you guys want some custom Lego type, we can't say Lego, but Lego type depictions of yourself, your family, your dog, John Campea, to sit on your little mantle, you can order them from the Brick Space. So thanks, Derek. I really appreciate it.
I like how she calls it the mantle. Sorry, go ahead. Keep going. I don't know what that even meant. It just felt like something I should say. Okay, sorry, what's next?
Mantle. It's like
I know.
All right, Matthew Peterson says, watching since AMC, #Team Campea.
Aw, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
But he spelled your name wrong.
Everybody spells my name wrong. It's totally cool.
You can still be Team Campea. It doesn't matter how you spell it.
I'm gonna ask you guys in the live chat. Do you know anybody else in the world with my last name?
No.
Anybody in the world with my last name? Very, very few. It's a very, very rare Italian name. So I totally forgive people when they spell it wrong or pronounce it wrong because there's no point of reference to it. Okay, sorry.
All right, Viral Video says, seen on the count of 3 at Sundance. Still my favorite movie of the year so far. It is amazing. Very dark dramedy with great performances. Thank you, Viral Videos.
Good to hear.
That's really great to hear because the trailer looked amazing.
The trailer really does look good.
Glad to hear that. And good for you for going to Sundance this year and supporting independent film. Alex Acosta says, hey, John, I watched your live stream last night. You mentioned how seeing the pumpkin bombs wasn't a confirmation for Willem Dafoe, but there was also a laugh that sounded just like his.
People need to learn the difference between the word imply and confirm. Those things you're suggesting imply. And that's why I believe it. I personally believe it. But, folks, the English language matters. Words matter. The word confirm does not apply to things that are really just implied. So there's a difference, right? And by the way, things that are implied is totally enough to get us to develop theories and ideas. And I believe that the implied message there is that we're going to see Willem Dafoe as Goblin. But it's not confirmed until we hear Willem Dafoe say, I'm in this movie, or until we see him on screen. Then it is confirmed. So there's a difference between something being implied and something being confirmed. So it's not confirmed yet. I believe it's going to happen, so do you, but it's not confirmed.
All right, Sin Vendetta says, hey, Erin, hi. Thank you for recommending Where the Crawdads Sing.
Crawdaddies.
Where the Crawdads Sing.
It's a band. They play banjos and the old whiskey jugs, and the Crawdaddies sing.
I'm a little bluegrass for you. I'm always looking for new books to read and listen to, so I got it on Audible. Thanks. You know what? I'm actually I'm on the second to last chapter of my Audible book right now that I'm listening to, and I feel like Where the Crawdads Sing is going to be a beautiful one to listen to. Yeah, that's going to go next on my Audible as well. I read the book, but I kind of feel like I want to revisit that before the movie comes out. Sam Fisher says, I saw Dinklage do a Cyrano musical off-Broadway around the time Game of Thrones ended. Is this a movie adaptation of that?
Yeah, I had never even heard that before. So, we read your message a little bit earlier, Sam. I don't know. That is a very, very good question, because I didn't even know Dinklage did that. So maybe it is just the on-screen version of what he did on the stage, or maybe it's just a fancy coincidence.
I would not be surprised. I mean, depending on when you saw it, around the time Game of Thrones ended, yeah, so that would have made sense. It makes perfect sense, especially because Off-Broadway is usually, that's the breeding ground for where Broadway shows end up, coming from.
Try that again.
Vanya, Sonia, Masha, and Spike, thank you, which won the Tony for Best Play that year. I think it was like 2013, 2014. That went to Broadway and ultimately won the Tony after being off Broadway for a while. So off-Broadway shows are an excellent breeding ground, not only for future Broadway plays, but also for movies. And it is not unlikely that Peter Dinklage, a very accomplished theater performer, did this as a play and then said, hey, we should make this into a movie too.
They showed the thing for another movie that we've already seen. Was it called Dear Evan Tanner?
Dear Evan Hansen.
Hansen, not Evan Tanner. That's a Full House guy, I think.
Yeah, Dear
Evan Hansen. Dear Evan Hansen.
Which was also a Broadway
Tony
winner.
Play, which that dude starred in when he actually was a teenager. Now he's like approaching 50. I think his kid's about to have a kid. I'm not sure. But
he
by the way,
looks young.
That movie looks really good.
Yeah.
I guess I'm looking forward to seeing Dear Evan Hansen.
But Dear Evan Hansen also won the Tony.
Bunch of Tonys, yeah.
And the Tony for Best Play. And I believe it might be either at the Amundsen, I think it's in LA, either it just left or, anyway, it doesn't matter. You look it up in your local theater. Go see it live and then go see it in the theater. Lars Hansen says, as a dog owner, I love dog movies, but I must admit I prefer a happy ending when a dog is one of the stars in the movie. And then, yes, I agree. I like it when a dog, Old Yeller totally fucked me up, and nobody warned me about that.
My dad's all-time favorite movie.
Why?
It's his all-time favorite movie is Old Yeller. I think it's the one movie I've ever seen my dad get emotional in, so I think that's probably why.
It fucked me the fuck up. And then also, Erin, what is that word that you have tattooed on your right arm? Is that okay if I answer that? Or?
Oh, yeah, of course.
The tattoo that I have is actually, it says warrior, and I got this because when I was going through breast cancer treatment, and I was very against anything having to do with the breast cancer world, a woman wrote me a private note that said, from one warrior to another, you got this. And that was the first time that I really felt like I had a sense of community. And so I decided that if I could make it through my double mastectomy, that I would feel like a true badass warrior. And so I got warrior tattooed here, and then under each of my new breasts I got Ripley for Ellen Ripley tattooed under this titty, and I got Sarah tattooed under this titty for Sarah Connor, because these bad bitches have been through a lot. And for members of the Semicolon Club, yep, that's what that is right there as well. And if you know, then you know. All right.
Well, in reality, that's a nice story, but she made all that up. She's actually just a huge fan of the 1980s WWE wrestling superstar, The Ultimate Warrior. That's how she comes into my house every day. Every day she shows up, she knocks on the door, and then she's got a ghetto blaster. She plays it, you hear that, and she comes running in like this. She's just a big Ultimate Warrior fan.
Right, but I come up with this whole other breast
cancer. It's a great backstory.
Now people are going to know that I never had cancer.
It's all a facade.
Damn.
It's all a facade. Okay.
You got me, John.
Okay.
All right, Sam Fisher says, because in that Cyrano play, Dinklage couldn't sing. Oh, Sam Fisher is following up. Oh, is that a movie adaptation of that Dinklage couldn't sing? I don't know if Dinklage sings in the movie.
They did, in all the footage they showed us from Cyrano, we never heard Peter sing.
No, I think it's mostly her and the guy that Dinklage is writing for, that Cyrano writes for. And I think if he was going to sing, they would have showcased that a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
The Great Bondi says, oh, well, I can't read this.
Oh, okay. Then you can't let me see what it says. Fine, I'll read it.
I'm not going to read it by myself.
The Great Bondi writes, now I'm going to have to live with this for the rest of the week. Can we take a minute to appreciate how beautiful Erin looks? John, can we just keep the camera only on her? LOL, joke my brother. Have fun in Vegas. Really curious about the Warner Brother presentation, the theater owners, and the theater owners' reaction. So,
that's so kind. You made me blush.
If it was already difficult enough to be around her, it's going to be even harder the rest of the week. Thanks to you. Thanks to you. Okay, what else we got?
John, would you like to just put the camera on me because I'm so...
Should we just go... It's all Erin all the time.
All right, Jake Vidmar says, would you say the action in James Bond clip was intense? You think?
I thought she was going to pass out.
I thought...
like a motorcycle would jump something. She was literally like, I'm like, oh my God. So yes, I would say it's
You do not
intense.
want to take me to see Bond the first time. Or would you say it was good action because it was outrageous? I hope that makes sense.
No, there was, as Robert Meyer Burnett would say, as incredible as the action is, there was a verisimilitude to it. Like it keeps one foot, unlike Fast and the Furious 9, which everything is so fucking preposterous, it just loses you immediately. It's like every single thing that was being done in the James Bond action sequence was like, okay, theoretically that could happen. And theoretically, whereas in Fast 9, it's like, okay, just no fucking way. But this was like they kept one foot in reality, and it just really heightens the excitement of it.
You never felt like they jumped the shark.
Yes.
All right. Blah, 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 blah. Max Pippinu says, hey, John and Erin, was there anything that you thought they would talk about at MGM and they didn't? Also, did they give a release date for Samaritan?
Other than 2022, I didn't see a release date. Again, the only thing I thought they would talk about, because it is their next release, was Candyman. But I guess they just figured because it's like literally opening in a few days, there's no point in talking about. But I was a little bit surprised by that.
All right. Ben Rayner says, over under 25% announcement, Dune in theaters only.
That's a good line. 25% is a good line to set. I'm going to take the under. If you had said 15, I might take the over, but that's where I think the chances exist, somewhere between 15 and 25%. So I'm going to take under 25%. What about you?
Oh, wow. I think that they really need to give a win to the theater owners, and what better win than to come in and announce that. When is Dune coming out again? Do we know?
November? I think it's November. Is it not November, guys? Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's November.
I think that I'm going to go ahead and give WB a little bit more credit and say that I'm going to go over 25% on that. I really think that they need to come in hot, and that's a great way of being able to do it.
Ellis Films is saying October 22nd. And you know what? That's right. You're right. It is the end of October.
All right. Kanikio says, "Hi, John and Erin. Big fan since the last CinemaCon when the tickets for Endgame went on sale. I watched that stream in college during a boring class." Okay, well now I have a follow-up question. What was your grade in the class? Because if you aced it, then hey.
You would be shocked if all the way back to my movie blog days, how many people watch my show from work or school. And I'm like, awesome. That is the greatest thing in the world for me to hear. Like, I'm contributing to the lack of productivity in America. Yeah, and school.
All right, Matthew K says, do you think it's possible that Toby became part of an Avengers team in his universe?
Whenever you ask the question and it has could or is it possible, the answer is always yes. So sure, yeah, that's possible, I suppose. But you got to remember, in Toby's universe, there was no such thing as superheroes. There were no people with superpowers running around. So he was unique in his universe, which is one of the things that I like about those Spider-Man movies. So unlikely, but possible, sure.
All right, Taki75 says, if Toby and Andrew are in the movie and Sony doesn't show them in a trailer, it will be like WB hiding Superman from Justice League marketing.
Yeah, listen, I know everybody says, and I get it, it's very romantic. I know everybody says, okay, if Toby and Andrew are in the Spider-Man movie, which there's no proof that they are, but a lot of us believe that they will be, they shouldn't show them in the trailers. Well, that's nice and everything, but the whole reason they're making this movie is to sell tickets to it. And if you got something like that in your movie, you show it in the trailers. Unless it reveals a big plot point that you can't, like a big plot reveal that you can't risk, but just to show that they're there, because I think that's a great example. Like, that would be akin to them trying to do Justice League and not showing Superman in the trailers. And then they realized too late that, wow, this isn't working. And so in the last week or two before the movie came out, then they started showing Superman, but it was too little too late. So, yeah, if Toby and Andrew are in this movie, I believe we will see them in a trailer. So I can't guarantee. I don't know that for sure. I'm not guaranteeing it, but that would be my guess.
Or also, I think and I'm not going to spoil anything, but like when we saw Ghostbusters Afterlife last night, there was a really funny moment because we were looking, the credits were rolling, and then a name popped up on the credits, and John and I both went, "What? That person wasn't in the movie." And then all of a sudden, boom, there was a scene with that person.
Right.
And we all went, "Oh my God, ah!" And so we were really excited. And so that's a little Easter egg, but that's the thing. This movie's success, Ghostbusters Afterlife, is not dependent on a one-scene cameo by someone where you're excited to see them. That's just another, like an extra cherry on top of the extra cherry. So, but that's not what that would be if Toby were in this. That would be massive. That would be a massive marketing push that they would want to capitalize on. Mr. 47, do you think this is Tom Holland's last Spider-Man film in the MCU?
I think he will appear in another movie, but I think this is the last. I think, my guess, it's just a guess. I guess this is the last Spider-Man movie that he does in the MCU.
Nicholas Noriega says, love the Spidey trailer. However, I'm having a hard time believing Doctor Strange would do that. It would seem that after Endgame, he would be more careful.
Remember, he probably thought it was completely careful. He thought he probably totally had it under control. So and again, don't rush to form a huge construct about what's happening in the movie based on a quick trailer that you saw, because there's probably a lot of things we don't understand or don't know yet.
All right, Stubble McShave says, did the MGM presentation change your opinion on the Amazon purchase? Do you think they will keep the same cinema's first mentality?
Yes. Amazon has already shown that even with a lot of their own originals, they would rather take their movies to cinemas first. It worked really well for The Big Sick, which was like one of my favorite movies of the last number of years. It was a model that worked really well for them on a couple of films. So yes, I think it'll work, but really, there was no mention of Amazon at all in this thing.
All right, Mr. 47 says, what hotel are you guys at, and are the buffets open? LOL. Yes, John is in room 11257.
We are in Caesar's Palace, which is a really, really big place. Again, the folks at Caesar's always take care of me really, really well when I come to Las Vegas. That's why I always stay here. And
this place is beautiful.
Yeah, they gave us a couple of suites, which is just fantastic.
Very nice.
So thank you very much to the folks at Caesar's for that.
All right, we have Daniel Skinner says, did you guys see any footage of Logan Lerman in the bullet train footage from last night at Sony Expo?
No, I didn't see any Logan Lerman in there.
Jay Khalil says, about Stallone, best scene, Rocky Balboa's speech to his son.
It's funny because the MGM guy, when he came out talking about the last 18 months of the pandemic, he quoted that, right? He goes, life ain't about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, which he says to Milo Ventimiglia in that movie, who's the guy who introduced me and Anne. So, a little bit of a tie there to that whole scene.
Wow. I gotta say, I got really weepy when he was, like, saying that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah. Like,
It was well-timed. It was a well-timed quote.
Yeah. I was just saying to John, we grabbed a quick bite after the presentation, and I said, MGM looks like a fun place to work. Like, all three of the people that got up, like, I've met Mike DeLuca, and I know he's a hell of a lot of fun, but, like, it just looks like so hey, MGM, hey, call me. I would like a job in your office. If I'm not. Anyway, all right, Mr. Holbrook says, I'm late to the party, but did both of y'all watch the new Ghostbusters movie? Quick impressions?
We loved it. I didn't love the ending, but I think most people did love the ending. I think most people did. But overall, the movie's completely delightful. I really enjoyed it. Very, very well done.
Max Papanew says, hey, John and Erin, forgot to ask one more thing. Did MGM talk about or touch on them being bought by Amazon? Just curious, keep up the great work.
No mention of Amazon at it, and I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. Because, again, this isn't a news event. This is we're showing off what we've got coming up sort of thing. So they really focus just on the movies.
Mike Horan says, just watched Erin in The Flash.
Hey!
Oh, thank you.
Block herself is here, ladies and gentlemen.
The human block, throwing blocks. Yes, go back and watch, I think it's season 18? I don't know.
6.
Season something. Yes, I was in an episode of The Flash, and it was great fun.
She was the villain of the week.
Yes, it was.
Called Block. It was great.
And then I fell into the Flash's arms, and he said, take her to the hospital, and I thought I was going to come back in another episode, and people wrote hashtag... No, because people wrote bring back Block, and I kept being like, hey, are you guys bringing me back to the show? And then eventually, in one episode, they were like, whatever happened to Block? And they were like, oh yeah, she's dead. And then moving on, I went, oh, okay, I guess I'm not coming back. Another world. Mads Jada says, Warner brings Clint to silent audience with scowl.
Yeah, very, again, I am very, very curious to see how that whole situation is going to unfold tonight. We're only about a little over 3 hours away from the Warner Brothers presentation. Again, tonight, guys, 8 o'clock tonight is when we're going to be doing our Warner Brothers coverage. So we'll be doing our next live stream at 8 o'clock tonight, Los Angeles time, covering what happened at Warner Brothers. All right, let's rapid fire. Guys, don't send that anymore. Let's rapid fire through the last few
Richard K says, with them not rebooting Indiana Jones after Indiana Jones 5, and with them saying they will never recast him, do you think that Indy will die at the end?
Irrelevant. They will do more Indiana Jones at some point. They will. It doesn't matter. They can say right now, we're never going to recast. They can say that right now. At some point, they will. But yeah, I could see Indy dying at the end of this one. I could see him dying at the end of this one.
Jobdov says, the John Campea Show is a super team. John, Rob, Erin, Kimberly, Greg, and Scott, you guys are a real inspiration and a huge motivation for me to follow my real dreams.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much. I love hearing that. This is a really cool thing to hear. Thank you, man. Congrats on that.
Wiley Todd says, hey, John and Erin, thanks for bringing movie passion back when this year of movies has been lackluster for me. Love CinemaCon content. Helps me get through film class homework.
Well, listen, I love being at CinemaCon. I really do. Like I was saying earlier, I like coming to this thing even more than Comic-Con. And I love going to Comic-Con, but this is always a joy. And it's been really cool being able to bring somebody who's never actually been to CinemaCon before. And we're only two. That's her very first thing at CinemaCon they dropped a surprise screening of Ghostbusters, and it's like, how lucky is that? Okay.
Mr. 47 said, hey, Erin, I just wanted to say I was a fan of the ropes that you did that Vin Diesel produced. I wish it kept going. Yes, back in the days of webisodes, I did a very underground project called The Ropes that Vin Diesel wrote, directed, and produced, and I loved working with Vin, and he was amazing and so generous. And it was called The Ropes. It was on Crackle. I don't even know if you can still find it, but it was basically about Vin Diesel's life as a bouncer before he became an actor. It was lots of great fun. James Yu says, in WandaVision, the calendar had a heart around August 23rd. Was that for the no... we talked about this.
Yeah, again...
And then will Foundation on Apple TV be any good?
Oh, yeah. That looks amazing. I cannot wait for that. That looks fantastic.
All right. Sorry, I just had to refresh this just a little bit. So just what? Okay. Richard K says, John, great job with your show. Man, my mom thinks you're hot and always says how lucky Anne is. I've been watching since the AMC days. By the way, my mom said if you're ever... No, I'm just kidding. That I took that last part in. But yes, Richard K's mom does think you're hot, and that Anne is one lucky lady.
So why do we have viewers writing in saying you are beautiful, but we got viewers writing in saying their moms think I'm hot?
Well, maybe you're just not Richard's cup of tea. That's okay.
Okay, no, say thank you to your mom for me, because usually I'm getting told how lucky I am to have Anne. I think Anne needs to be taken down a notch or two. Get told that she's lucky to have me. All right.
Random Cameo 616 says, thanks. And sends in a really nice super chat, so thank you, Random Cameo. KC Max says, what are the chances WB presents all their non-DC stuff tonight and saves their DC stuff for DC fandom?
0. They have to put on a big presentation here. But listen, they can show a lot of stuff to the theater owners and not make it public and not put it online and save that for DC fandom. But they are definitely. Listen, I'll be shocked if they don't. Look, they have a lot of non-DC stuff to show, but they have to show and talk about their DC stuff. That is their big sales pitch. That is their big box office drivers. They have to.
All right, Mr. 47 writes in again, and I may be reading this wrong, so John, look over my shoulder and tell me if I'm fucking this up. Casino Royale equals Fantastic Quantum of Solace equals Skyfall equals Great Spectre equals No Time to Die equals has to be at least great, right?
Yeah, it feels like they've been hopscotching a little bit, like a great one, not so great one. Great one, not so great one. Yeah, this one looks great. This one looks fantastic. I cannot wait to watch this thing.
Mohammed Ghanem sends in a little birdie emoji. Thank you.
Actually, that's a pear.
That is not a pear. That's a bird.
No. You'll see him. You'll see him on here. It's a big pear.
I need my readers.
Well, that's a very, very tiny.
I do wear readers,
thing of it.
y'all.
So let me see if I can.
0.75, but they're readers.
I don't know what that means.
My granny glasses.
See, he's a big pear. He's got the little leaf on the top of his head too.
Looks like a bird. All right, Sherman123 says, I'm at work. My boss doesn't care. I'm good at my job.
That's
LOL.
awesome.
All right, Ms. Marie Seafring sends in another bird pair. Swift Reviews
Thank you, Marie.
Says, hey guys, I've been a fan since John stopped breakdancing.
It's going back a while.
I see people mad about Doctor Strange breaking the universe, but he's always ignored advice. Thoughts?
Again, I think everybody's making way too many assumptions on watching a quick little trailer and not seeing any of the context, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Richard? Oh, under that. It's like, it says Richard. Are you sure you don't need to break out those 0.75 glasses? Okay, what does it say? Kakorotson 84
says, speaking of dog, where the red fern grows made me cry, and Charlie the cougar was epic.
Aww.
Richard K says, in Creed 3, could Ivan Drago be Adonis? In Creed 3, could Ivan Drago be Adonis' new trainer? He lost to Rocky. His son lost to Adonis. Ivan is a broken man. He lost his wife and his son. And wants to make amends and seeks forgiveness from Donnie, so he becomes his new trainer.
No, they're not going. They've already gone back to the Ivan Drago. Well, I don't think they're going to go back to it again. By the way, the guy who plays Ivan Drago's son, the main foil for Adonis in Creed 2, he is the main henchman guy in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. He's Shang-Chi's father's main right-hand man henchman guy. I think his name's Razor Fist in it. And he's awesome in it. He's really, really good in it. So it's good to see him back in there.
And our last question is from Cutter Hale, who says, breaking news, Venom has moved to January 2022.
Yeah, I heard that. I actually talked to somebody last night who mentioned that was going to come out today. I'll admit, I'm surprised. Not surprised that Sony is, again, they're committed to keeping it theatrical, but they know this thing has big box office thing. So I still really thought they were going to keep it where it was. So I'm surprised, but not like completely shocked. But I am surprised. I'm surprised to hear that as well. All right, guys, listen. That will do it for our coverage of the MGM presentation here at CinemaCon 2021. We have another one here. They gave out these little bears. Isn't that cute?
It's baby Degnan's first swag. We're going to put this in the nursery.
So thank you for being here. Now, of course, we got another stream tonight covering the Warner Brothers. Yes, it's a bear. Covering the Warner Brothers presentation tonight. We'll find out if they make it out alive or if they're going to get booed off stage or the pitchforks come out. We'll see. But that's going to be interesting. Guys, thanks a lot for being here. On behalf of myself, Erin Cummings, don't forget, come back and join us tonight again for the Warner Brothers presentation. Cannot wait. Thanks for being here, guys. And we will talk to you all next time. Have a good one. And until tonight, guys, bye-bye. And